You shouldn't change the government just because you're a whim. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. People in general. That's why you can't be mad at Negroes and at human beings and nobody. People accept tyranny way past the right time. And they make the liberator seem like you cause them trouble. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Do you think the Negro and poor white people ought to be tired of this stuff by now? When they sent all of their poor little white children from West Virginia and the middle of the country, when the white folks, the core of America, you think they look bad in D.C., Philadelphia, Camden. You ever pass any of them little towns, through them little towns on Route 40 when you come from, and look at them white folks? If you come from Indiana all the way here, don't look good. For the last 30, 35 years, the core. And Indiana's one of the worst. They making crank. They growing dope out in the cornfields. They done went crazy. And that old-time middle America corn-fed white folks does not exist.
Ohio too.
Oh, Ohio, yeah, that's what I mean. Everybody. Good God Almighty, Ohio. Probably one of the worst.
It is.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. But it's in New Mexico, it's in Colorado, it's in, when we say the heart of America, rural America, that used to be the bedrock of American values, that's been gone for 30 years. And they've been juiced up on crank and everything else you can imagine. You know. So we're not talking about liberation of just black people. In fact, I never thought I'd say this. They do white folks, they always have, poor ones, just as bad. Anybody remember the Grapes of Wrath?
Movie.
The movie, and it was just saying it's just a crime to be poor. Yeah. The war came and saved them. They was closer to rebellion in the 1930s than ever before. The Communist Party was bigger in the 30s than ever before. Because the people were broke, tired. And they was getting ready to jump on Sam. Then a World War II come along and pulled them out. They ain't rebelled since, up until now they get ready. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former system of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries, usurpations, all having a direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over the states. Does anybody feel free inside of America today? To provide this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. I'm going to skip the facts. That is the facts of why they say you did this and you did that. That's why we have to have our Declaration of Independence. Now, replunk the FBI, fact is July 2009. That's 8 years old. Our Declaration of Independence. This is our Declaration of Independence. Does anybody remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'll read a little. This part right here is from Surah Nur, ayat 55 to 57. And I won't read it all. And it also has Surah 13:11. Allah verily never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change it themselves with their own souls. Then the other ayah, I'll just read it apart. Allah has promised to those among you who believe and work righteous deeds that He will of a surety grant them in the land inheritance of power, as He granted those before them, that He will establish an authority of their religion, that is their deen, the one which He has chosen for them, and that He will change their state after the fear in which they live to one of security and peace. They will worship me alone and not associate aught with me. If any do reject faith after this, they are rebellious and wicked. So establish regular prayer, give regular charity, and obey the messenger that you may receive mercy. Never think that the unbelievers are going to frustrate Allah's plan on earth. Their abode is a fire. Is indeed an evil refuge. And then Allah will not change the condition of the people until they change it with themselves. Repump the FBI practitioners of tyranny and oppression. If you notice, we don't stray way off from constitutional language, biblical language, and Quranic language. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. This is our Declaration of Independence. Don't worry, we borrow a few semi-phrases, but we dress it up good. But in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve their allegiance to another and assume the rights of administration over their own affairs, as granted to them by God. It is only natural that they should declare the causes which impel them to seek their independence. That's us. We hold these truths to be self-evident that mankind in general has been endowed by their Creator with intelligence and free will, not inalienable rights. That these assets should be employed by those in power toward the pursuit of righteous and just ends as defined by God's guidance, and that whenever any form of government habitually transgress the bounds of rightness or righteousness and equity, it is the responsibility of God-serving people to champion the right of self-determination, to alter that government and to institute a new form of administration that is in conformity with the eternal principles and values of God's laws, a government which is both human-friendly and earth-friendly. Prudent and just means must be employed to accomplish the establishment of such government. Timeless prescribed methods to address tyranny is threefold. The usage of the hand, that is physical or military might, the tongue to raise our voices in defense of truth and justice, or the heart to detest it internally and implore God's assistance. If you notice now, we call it our Declaration of Independence, but we open with two Quranic ayats that use the word istiklafa, khilafa. Okay. And all of these, it don't talk about man got a right to do this. No, we got a responsibility to follow God's guidance and laws on and on and on. So it's not a bad document. Okay. We're just correcting their mistaken vocabulary. The history of the Zionist-occupied United States government has been one of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an oppressive and tyrannical world order. Prudence demands that the oppressed lists some of the outstanding grievances in this regard. The U.S. government has waged a 40-year war on drugs, which is actually a war on black people, characterized by the following aims: destroying the family and community, in which it has been 100% effective. Taking away constitutional rights and guarantees. It's a black community, they don't have the right legal search and seizure. You can stop them, you can shoot them, you can actually kill them. You know, I like the Rodney King trial because they showed the video of them beating the guy to death. Not to death, just to the edge of his life. And the police with a straight face, the white folks, it was in San Dimas out there somewhere. That's right out over the hill, right out away from LA. And the white folks and ex-police live out there. So they said, did you repeatedly hit Mr. King with your club? The white man said with a perfect straight face, no, of course not. His head collided with my club. His head was just floating down the street and ran into his club. That's what it said.
That he had out. Mysteriously, he just had the club out for no reason.
With the video whacking the guy, I don't know how he survived. He's just got an old-time Negro head that just won't bust. You can swell it up, deform it, he look deformed, but you can't kill a Negro head like that. That's an old country Negro head. And you can beat him till the sun go down, and he just, I'd give him a few more days, and he wasn't never really big time sane, but he'll get back to where he's coherent. And that's where they whooped him, till he was incoherent. But they didn't whoop him. He took his head and sent it down the street at 40, 50 miles an hour, and it ran into his club.
And then they said in the trial, the reason they moved the trial down there, they said that the cop couldn't get justice in Oakland.
No, in L.A.
Yeah, not LA, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. And he was in L.A., everybody, look, if you want a dictatorship, one thing about L.A., they say it's better now. L.A., like, remember I used to talk about how nice it is in D.C.? Right. People that the police, shh, man, I like these police. Remember I used to talk about that all the time? Because I spent a lot of time in L.A. They are Nazis in L.A. They act like Nazis. They move like Nazis. They drag you out of cars. They put you, they shoot you. They do anything they want. They're a dictatorship. They said they better. Nah, I don't believe it. If they better, they still Nazis. They're just better Nazis. Okay, we'll move to war on terror. Okay. 100% effective. Taking away constitutional rights and guarantees, turning urban centers into police states, and criminalizing the whole black and Latino community. It has maintained a war on terror based on falsely created Muslim threat. This staged war is actually meant to achieve the following goals: stopping the global Islamic revival, which has been steadily gaining momentum across the world from the U.S. to Palestine, branding spirited self-defense, self-determination, and other good works of Muslims as terrorism, and changing the public image of Muslims from advocates of education, development, and social justice to one of barbaric and mindless terror. Muslims, and they always read, they got books under their arm. You know, even in the penitentiary, all the Muslims were studying and reading. It has steadily maintained a policy of torture, intimidation, denying Muslims due process of law, blowing up buildings around the world, using intelligence operatives as agent provocateurs who often pose as Muslims. They might have Muslim names. Invading and interfering in the internal affairs directly or indirectly of Afghanistan, Somalia, Iraq, Pakistan, employing destabilization policies against Sudan and Iran, killing over 1 million Muslims in Iraq and using governments like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Egypt, Jordan, and Algeria to suppress and fight against the global Islamic movement, which seeks only to secure the right of self-determination based on God's law. That's all we're going to get toward it. It has denied the right of Muslims to freely collect and distribute zakat, which is an obligatory duty of Islam. It has placed Masjid, Islamic schools, charity foundations, and Quranic institutions under the probe of its Gestapo, FBI surveillance network. It has converted imams into FBI informants. It has entrapped several innocent believers through deceitful intelligence operations, that is schemes, with the intent of demonizing Muslims in the public eye. All of the above actions on the part of the Zionist-occupied U.S. government has created an atmosphere of passive fear that exists both nationally via the FBI, Homeland Security, Immigration, and others, and internationally via CIA and partners in crime throughout the globe. That's your friend, the white man. Yes, it is. Amen. And so, now we'll move toward a close by mentioning a few things. I had right here just a minute ago. So Fred, that's conflict. We'll get to, that is a Declaration of Independence or a Declaration of Dependence, whichever one you want to call it. Well, it's got to be here somewhere. It's a nice biblical quotation. It's a quotation from 1980. It was when I was in prison. St. James Missionary Baptist Church came in. It was on Martin Luther King Day, to tell the truth, that's when it was. Martin Luther King Day. I think this must be it here, right here. And so, we wanted to identify with our brother. And do you know what they call King, the great dream, I had a dream speech? So we're in Genesis. This shows you, they've been trying to send Muhammad al-Asi. He had a program in Seattle with some Christians. And I said, oh, it was great. I said, man, you don't even know how to talk to no Christians. You know, you gotta, those people that know how to get to the heart of Christians, man, the Dr. Brother, the preacher at St. James Baptist Church, after this anyway. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. This is Joseph. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. I remember Martin Luther King, the dreamer. You ought to know the Bible to know how to come up with stuff that fit them so good they don't know what to do. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And that's what I started at preaching. When he came up, first of all, I brought a lot of, one of the brothers that was one of my best friends was a rich Christian Arab, and he was a Catholic, and his father was like the Pope Jr. in Palestine, you know. So, but he was over here, and he was a rich guy, and he hung out with white people mostly. He had He had models as his girlfriend. He was he was slick. He wasn't no everyday Arab. And I used to have him helping me with Arabic, and I'd ask him, what is this? And it'd be in Arabic. Of course, he didn't know Arabic, but since we was friends. He's the hypnotherapist. Remember I was telling you there was a hypnotherapist that, well, he was a hypnotherapist. And I was showing all of them how to do time, and he would say he charged people $5,000, $1,200 a good smoking, and how to relieve tension. And I had him lifting the bag, hitting the heavy bag, lifting iron, and walking, running lightly. Now, that was the perfect program. He says, now my program, I do this hypnotherapy and it relieves tension. I said, you've been hitting that bag. I said, how do you feel after that? I said, when I tell you to put the judge's picture on that bag and you beat it, how you feel? He says, I always feel very good. And the better I'm getting, I'm getting. I said, that's right. That's it leaves you in tension, don't you? Don't cost you nothing to do it. I say, you charge people $10,000 to stop them smoking. I get them running around here for free. You just get you some tennis shoes. And anyway, so he came to the Christian program with me, and he was amazed. See, he's a Catholic. And you know the choir, Imagine the Negro Choir. It's just about 20, 30 years ago, boy, but they was good. And he says, man, the choir directors like Leonard Bernstein, you know, waves, boom, boom, for the choir, woo, and then he goes, shak, 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 she the Jew. He said, good God Almighty, I'm going to come. Do they do this all the time? I said, this is the church, man. He said, of course, this is the Baptist church. He said, man, I'm going to start the car. I said, the Baptist church here don't do that. The old Baptist preacher, they don't do nothing. They got hymnals, you know, in the white Baptist church. I said, man, they got hymnals, you know what I mean, and stuff, and they don't do this. So when the preacher came up, he said about me, I don't know where our brother is getting this stuff, but the precursor to our Lord Jesus Christ was Joseph. Now, I didn't know that, but I knew Martin Luther King was a dreamer, and I know that the Bible, the poison book, says, and when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Basically, similar story with Joseph. He got good, clear vision and stuff like that. And they said to one another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Here come the dream. Martin Luther King, we're associates with Martin Luther King. Good God, mighty boy. The crowd said, boy, this Negro is one of them serious dudes. But see, the other Arabs and other people don't know nothing about this. They don't know how to...
Right.
Did anybody go to the... Barry's son? Christopher was buried? We went over there, right?
Oh, no question.
Okay, remember what the preacher said?
When he got through, he said, now that Imam Musa, he said, I agree with what he said.
Right.
When he started, he said,
Okay.
yeah.
Something, because we know our people.
Right.
We know them as well as we know ourselves. And we know how to go in there. There ain't going to be no friction because we know what to avoid. And if we do hit a rough spot, we slide over that in a minute. That ain't nothing. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? We'll give him another verse in the Bible and slide it to him. He ain't going to, where did you get that? I said the Bible. You didn't read that? And then we give him the history of it. But see, our people, man, here in this country, they some dirty, the immigrants, they got Shahari talking to Christians. They got all kinds of, these niggas don't know nothing about Christianity.
At all.
At all. They don't know the songs. They don't know how the people feel. You know what I mean? And now, when you're in the white man's penitentiary, he sends you way out in the woods. So you be aware of everybody's Christianity. And then make the kids give us a little furlough. We get to go to the white man's church. If we're on the basketball team, we play in San Andreas and McCollum Hill, Angels Camp. You know what it is? That's where they discovered gold. You remember the frog jump? You remember Mark Twain? That's Angels Camp. That's Angels Camp. They send you, the people don't even know where it's at. And they send you there, and you sit up with the white folks in church, and you know how to. Anyway, the point is, the institutions that we have to develop. Now, we've shown you this stuff before. We don't take this stuff for granted. Organizational transformations, birth, growth, death, decline and death. It's from their own literature. So we studied. There's beautiful articles 10, 15 years ago on the decline of civilization. 10 steps of decline, 7 steps of decline. All of that. And, okay, that's what they write. So we're studying what we're dealing with. And we're not arrogant about it. But see, if you didn't like people, you wouldn't be trying to figure out, I tell my kids, they take tests, they just learn stuff and tests. They just study Spanish and tests. I say, study it so you can talk to Spanish people. I say, you see how the Spanish-speaking people light up when I speak to them in Spanish? So remember the other day, I was at Lowe's? And I said to the lady, where you from? Oh, I'm from such and such a place. Oh, Salvador. And I said, yeah, Salvador. Of course, Salvador is the Savior. El Salvador is Jesus Christ. El Salvador, the Savior. You know what I mean? And all of that, Emmanuel, all of them people. So anyway, so she just says to me, naturally, like, where are you from? Like, maybe I'm a black Spanish-speaking person from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, or something. I said, no, I'm from Estados Unidos, California. Hay muchos mexicanos allá, puro mexicanos, pure Mexicans in California, which belongs there. So the people you notice when the guys come down and they work, as soon as you speak a word of their language, that means he likes somebody. He likes us. That's what it means, because he's put some time into learning our language. You know what I mean? And even if you miss a few things, like if you haven't spoken regularly, you may be only 70% proficient, but you can say everything you want to say. It'll take you a month or two to get back to be 89, 90%, 95% proficient, which is good in the language. So the people we've been associated with around the world, they know we like them. They know they know that we're not playing. When we talk to white people, they know this nigga actually he has to like us, even in South Africa. Voortrekker is voortrekker. It's like Boers, pioneer school, voortrekker, voortrekker. Before, this was a pure apartheid school, only white kids only, and then later on, all the teachers are still white. I come there, some of our friends have kids there, they come there to speak, and there's singing this Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, who saved a wretch like me. Somewhere I was lost, now I'm found, and all that. So I was telling the history of the song. I said, that's a great song. I said, we used to sing it all the time, still do. I said, because this is a song by a captain who was a captain of a slave ship. And Christianity hit him, and he just couldn't do it anymore. I said, that's what the song is about, to save the wretch like me. You know, they were shocked. So it was just a song. So in speaking to the people, the principal, after it was over, he didn't know what, he was talking to me. He said, you're the first real Negro I've ever met. I said, yes, I'm a pure Negro. I was just asking, because you can't be mad at people, right? So I was like, who the hell are you talking to, Cracker? I said, no, I am a genuine, I didn't say card carrying, but I meant I'm certified, I'm on 100%, all the characteristics. I am a real bona fide Negro. You could have carried me away in a basket. I was feeling so good. You know, but I mean, it wasn't, he was just, I never met, you know, a real Negro. I said, yes, indeed.
He wasn't being offensive.
He wasn't being offensive, but if anybody else would have heard him, they'd have been offensive. You know what I mean? And the other brothers would be like, what are you talking about, man? You ain't seen no real Negro before. You know, bump you. Everybody assaulted the man. So, this religion for us helps us comprehend all the shades. That's why we read Frederick Douglass, and they ask him, hey, come and speak at our 4th of July celebration. He told them white folks, y'all must be crazy. I would be a traitor to our people. He said millions are languishing in chains. Basically, this is your 4th of July. It's not ours. You go anywhere in the world, you won't find nobody as mean, as corrupt as the United States. This is in 1852, and it's still true today. Everything he said then was true today. Transferred their name, these good abolitionist white folks, they helped them free Negroes. And the slave, the act, if they're caught, they're violating the law. They go to jail. The white folks that help an Underground Railroad, they're violating the law after certain acts by 1857. And other times, they were violating the law. They were violating the other white folks' law. But the 4th of July, we got our freedom, independence. That's your freedom, that's your independence. It ain't ours.